Welcome to the Cricket Podcast. This is your host, Mr. Number 9.
And this is The Fool.
Hi, everyone. Well, it's been a while since we've managed to branch out into different sports, taking a break from the English Premier League and other football-related activities that have been heating up in the last few weeks and are about to heat up. Don't worry, we will talk about it. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the summer game, as it is summer, and I think things are going into swing. Now, before we start going into the matches, how good is it to have cricket back and crowds?
It's been so good. I was there at the first T20 Black Caps versus West Indies at Eden Park. It was so good. So good. Just watching live cricket, being in the ground. I mean, there wasn't huge numbers of people there, but it was still pretty good. Still decent numbers, and it was
I know
super exciting.
exactly what you mean. Like having cricket to listen to while working or just chilling out and like just watching games. Even T20s, even they're quite short. And yes, fans of other sports are gonna look at us with disbelief when we say a game that technically lasts 3.5 hours is short.
Short. So short.
But God damn it, we've been missing 50 over cricket. That's possibly the only downside so far to the cricket summer is that we haven't had an ODI, and we won't have an ODI series, I think, this summer at all.
I think we get some against Bangladesh right at the tail.
Yes, I feel like you're probably right about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we get. It's either Bangladesh or maybe Australia.
I believe Australia are coming in to play some ODIs later in the year.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They are. It's like a limited over series, just because we're gonna have a T20 World Cup.
Yeah. So it has sort of it is Bangladesh.
We're gonna have a T20 World Cup next year, and Bangladesh, basically both New Zealand and.
Yeah, no, Bangladesh. We get three series
New
ODI.
Zealand, yeah.
Against Bangladesh, and then 3 T20s, and Australia is all T20s as well. I think we get 5 T20s against Australia. Oh no, sorry, we play ODIs over in Australia.
Okay, so we are gonna play the Chapel Hadley series in Australia, so that's good. So we will have some 50 over cricket. Which I think we've had this long discussion. I don't know if I've spoken about it in the podcast. I feel like 50 overs cricket is both probably the most interesting format for me to watch. Just because I think with test matches, batsmen are again so good now, and with the way we've done the stats, we know that the toss is really, really important in both test matches and in T20s. And also, I think we know that a batsman in a test match, basically, when they're in doubt, they should just be patient and see things out and in that delivery. And we know in a T20 game, if a batsman is in doubt, they should push for tempo and try and get as many runs off their next delivery as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas an ODI, there is no such thing as a rule of thumb for what you do when you are in doubt about what to do.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely has much more of a it depends, because it sort of depends like which part of the game you're at. If you're power play, what's your wicket count like? Are you setting the total, chasing the total? What's been the team's thought on, what's been the plan? How many runs in this last 5 or 10 block over?
And rightly or wrongly, I think in the last 10 years, especially with the ODI format, we feel like there's no such thing as an unchaseable score, but that doesn't mean every score is going to be chased.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't, as we've seen, especially in some New Zealand grounds, you can set a very small, you could be bowled out quite cheaply, but that doesn't mean that's undefendable or that's easy to get. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And the same you say, you've scored 350, 380, 400, but that doesn't necessarily mean the other team's not going to come out and just knock it out like it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Australia just played a really interesting ODI series against India, and I think I caught a bit of the first two games where Australia scored 350 plus, but India were in the 320s, and for a long part of the game they were in it.
Yeah. No, I remember
which I think is the other part, which makes it better because there's a long part. Like nowadays, with how even the teams are, like up to about 75 to 80% of the game, both teams are in it. It's on the balance, and you're just
Yeah,
waiting for like somebody to do something to make the play that's gonna win the game. Whereas, like as a good example, the test match here, a test match that goes down to the last day is very rare,
yeah,
where you're not sure who's gonna win.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I think a T20 game is similar. Like by the halfway usually to
Well,
the chase that one team's gonna win. It's usually the chasing side.
yeah. It comes in that with T20s, yeah, you say generally it's the chasing side. Generally, it can get turned on its head quite easily. I feel like 2 wickets in a T20 or a wicket over with no runs can sometimes just absolutely turn a T20 on its head very quickly. But at the
Yeah.
same point, it can be turned back by somebody just whacking a six, or 2 sixes in a row or something like that.
Or like
Suddenly,
or a guy who, if somebody gets 25 plus runs in an over, it flips back again.
yeah, yeah. So
Especially
it's
in
one
the
of
last
those
5 overs of a game. But
exactly.
we all know that we expect chasing sides to win in
Yeah,
T20.
yeah.
Like
So I
I
was gonna
think
say,
nobody thinks that that's not a thing.
yeah. I was just gonna say, it's just say T20s. You normally know, yeah, chasing sides. You win the toss, you chase, but you're likely to win. It can get a little nail biting occasionally, but generally because of that whole whilst wickets turn it back to the bowling side's favour, anybody can whack a six and really just set it back
Mm.
going. And once people have got in the groove, that's it. It seems to be hard for bowlers to get out of that again.
Yeah,
Once even like a number 8 batsman who's just going out to the wall,
I
he's got
think
his
in
iron.
I think in T20s, every player in the team, up to the number 11 batsman, practices what they're going to do if they come in the last 5 overs and there's
Yeah,
like 30 runs to get, which is piss easy, really.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but like even 50 runs to get in the last 5 overs or 60, 70 runs to get in the last 5 overs, they practice that really hard. Or,
yeah, yeah,
they are ready to go yep, we've come in the last over. We need to be able to hit at least three boundaries, and they practice that approach to batting. And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why, like, we know players like Sunil Narine has become a very useful batsman for his team, and um, Mitch McLagan as
yeah,
well, who's retired from the Black Caps, has become a very useful operator in that regard as well. Heck, in our current team, Tim Southee, I think, does a lot of that work for us. I think New Zealand should promote Tim Southee more often, actually,
yeah.
um, as a pinch hitter,
I always feel
especially 10 over mark.
yeah, yeah, maybe that might be worthwhile for him. I always feel Tim Southee like batting's never his interest. So even though he can do that, I always feel like he doesn't have the it's
Hmm.
it's not
I
what he's in
think
the team for and he
I
doesn't
would
want
have
it.
agreed with you pretty much all the way up till the series against the series against Sri Lanka not last year, but the year before, where he scored the match-winning 69
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
first innings. And I think that was a very mature knock, like where he
yeah.
batted responsibly and got the team through. And I think since then there's been a change in his batting where he has become very much more consistent. I mean, we all know Tim Southee's got batting talent. That's
Yeah.
not in question. And like actually technique wise, he's actually better than batsmen like Daniel Vittori, who has a very good batting record.
Yes. But he was
Like
Daniel Vittoria was never what you would call a technical batsman.
no,
he was
no.
he he was very good at what he did, but watching him bat, even for someone like me who's not a batsman, he's still there going, how are you getting away with this?
And even someone like James Franklin, who was considered to be an all-rounder, I think Tim
Yeah.
Southee as a batter, I'm more
Oh,
confident
definitely.
than
Yes,
James
definitely.
Franklin.
Definitely. I would pick Southey over Franklin, even if you were looking at batting records. And I know
Yeah,
Southey's batting record isn't great, but
yeah.
yeah, it's just
Uh,
yeah, as you say, he has actually good technique, and if you want, it is fully in his mind about what it is, and I just and what it does mean though is if you were batting last in a test or batting last in an ODI or T20 and chasing, because he will actually then bat better. I think he bats better than say batting second or even third in a test, or batting first in an ODI or T20, where he might feel like I can come out and bat, I can come out and bowl and do better with, you know, and get more people out for less runs. So I'll just have a wog and see how many runs I get, but I want to bowl. But if
Yeah.
it's near the end where that's the bowling option's no longer available, then he might actually bat properly and do things properly, and that's when you see the actual proper batsman of Tim Southee come out when he
Yeah.
sort of has to. If you can get him into those situations more where he has to bat well, um, and show that he can actually do it, then yeah, I think you get a better Tim Southee overall.
I agree, and I think that's what we've been seeing from Tim. Because
Mm.
quite, we can start going into it so far. Like we're gonna focus a lot on the New Zealand players. Trent Boult has been excellent all season, even if his figures hasn't been showing it. I think he's bowled really well, gotten the
Yeah.
lines, and he's put in the pressure. But everybody else in the team have been benefiting from him.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
And Trent
Ditto
Bolt's.
Neil Wagner. I want to
Oh,
put out there, like, though Neil Wagner got a lot of wickets in that last game, in that first test against the West Indies. I think a lot of innings, like especially this game so far, he's generated the pressure to let the other players get the wickets.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Jameson's definitely benefited from both those two bowlers
Mm.
and from Southey as well. Like
Yep.
Jameson's the one that's getting it, and I think that's a little bit, being the new kid on the block, that is not really having
But
fully
Jameson had
understood.
a very good series against India as well.
Oh no,
So
no, James is, when I say new kid on the block, newish. Like he's
yeah,
been a few Test series now. Um, I think this is his third, fourth Test, fifth
yeah,
maybe, something like that. But still, it's still a bit where people haven't had a lot of footage to review his technique and how it's all working. And so everybody knows how what Wagner's going to bring. They know what Southey's going to bring. Know what Bolt's going to bring. And I have an idea about Jameson, but I think Jameson does a good job of being somewhere in between the three of them. Like Wagner definitely is at test level. He's the short pitched workhorse, right? He's
yeah,
gonna, but he can come in all day long from one end and just bowl it consistently where he wants it at a decent clip, and
yep,
he will just keep going and going and going and will not stop on you
yep.
until you get out. And Bolt is Bolt. Bolt's just ridiculously good. Good once he gets his tail up, his pace is phenomenal. He can move it both ways, same as Southey. Southey the same. They can both move it through the
Mm.
air and off the pitch. And when they get a good day, they're just unplayable. And Jameson, I feel is like people know like with the other three like with Wagner, if he's going short, you just have to duck. You just have to duck. You just have to duck. Don't try it because he will try it all day, but you're not getting anything. He's not getting anything out of it if you're not giving him anything. So then he'll go full, and going fulls you can play. Like it, he still gets good wickets from it because he's still consistent. But and the other two, like okay, whilst Trent can take it away from you, it's likely coming as a right-hander. It's coming back into you, coming back into you, and you
Mm.
can sort of get that. As Southey, like good days are ridiculously good, but you can get him on a bad day, and you can just be like, okay.
Yeah.
As
I feel like those
Jameson's
bad
new,
days have become less and less common since
yeah,
the end of 2019.
yeah,
Beginning of 2019, I meant to say.
yeah, yeah. To the end
Um,
of 2018, it was he went through a couple of bad years there after the 2015 World Cup, and what
yeah,
ODI World Cup, where he, yeah, was not bowling badly. I mean, he was still really
yeah,
good. But like you looked at the records from that time, I think he was in ODIs. He was still going at you know runs per over was still under fives.
mm,
T20s, his runs were 6 or 7 and over. Test matches, it was only a couple of runs and over sort of thing. It just wasn't getting the wickets. That was pretty much it. Like it was still building the pressure, still doing most of the good stuff, just not getting wickets, and people were able to play him. Um, Unlike 2015, 2014, and a bit before that were just unplayable. And you say since in 2019 and so far in 2020, I think he's got a little bit of that back. He seems to
yeah.
be the movement. He's getting the movement again,
He's got a bit
especially
of
late
his
swing and stuff.
mojo back as well. I feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
not just as a batter and bowler, but in the field as well.
yeah, yeah. I
From
think
what
it's
I've seen.
helped. I think the vice captaincy has helped a bit.
Yep.
Like you still get a bit of like when when he has to be captain, and he's vice captain for the limited overs anyway. Sorry, I
Yep.
should say
Yep.
it's not.
Yeah.
Um,
Tom Latham has been captaining this match so far.
yeah,
Just
but
going into the current series against the West Indies, in the Test matches, obviously, we all really like Jameson. He's been playing really
yeah,
well, so well, in fact, that even though Pakistan were talking up Lockie Ferguson before the series, he's not good enough to get into the Test side. I'm sorry to
no, no,
say. Um, Jameson is almost as quick and very good at getting the bounce and with that height. Don't get me wrong, I love me Lockie Ferguson a lot.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
Um,
Lockie's ridiculously
he's just
good.
not been able to won't be able to ever. He just hasn't yet been able to. So, but it's good. That means there is competition for those spots
Oh,
in the fast
yeah, yeah.
bowling uh,
Yes, no. There's plenty
spot.
of
Uh,
competition there for
then
the
there's
bowlers.
also Matt Henry, who's
Yeah,
a very, very good bowler. And the
and
only
there's
issue I currently have with our bowling lineup is obviously we are not playing a spinner in either of
yeah,
these tests, and I understand why. This time of year, New Zealand wickets just
yeah,
don't turn, and unless you've got a very accurate and very attacking spinner who knows how to get wickets in test matches, grind out wickets in test matches, you're not really getting the results from them.
yeah, yeah,
And I wouldn't have minded if they had picked Mitchell Santner instead of maybe someone like Daryl Mitchell, but I like that they gave Daryl Mitchell a chance to show his goods and show how good he is.
yeah.
But
I mean,
going
yeah,
into it, I'm sure later in the year we will use spinners because
yeah. Pitches will dry out a bit.
even maybe in this end of December against Pakistan, we may use spinners at the Bay, and the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
test match I believe is going to be at the Basin. I could be wrong about that.
The other no Christchurch, actually.
We have two decent left arm spinners in Mitchell Santner and Ajaz Patel,
Yeah.
and we have Ish Sodhi as well, who's a decent leg spinner and more than decent in the white ball game, and
Yeah.
I think, still untested in the red ball game. Is that fair?
He's had his chances and he's never really shown it in the Red Bull. Like he's had a few chances and it's just not worked for whatever reason. Some of them I think his chart when he's been picked it hasn't been the best test for him. Um and then some of them I don't know. It's just I wouldn't say no to picking Ish again. Um but at the same time he hasn't the chances he has had at test level he
I
hasn't
love
taken.
I like Ajaz Patel fine, and I think
Yeah, yeah.
Ajaz Patel Mitchell Santner would do a good job in Bangladesh if that test series were to go ahead and they were to play there. But would you pick a spinner in the up to in the two series? And if you did pick a spinner, who would you drop? Because
Into the
I feel like if you are going to pick a spinner, you can swap out the all-rounder slot, whether it's Colin de Grandhomme or Daryl Mitchell for a spinner, especially if you're going to pick Mitchell Santner because he's more than capable with the bat.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think that's
and because you've got Jameson, who's very good with the bat now, and Saudi is in very good form with the bat as well, you're not too worried about lower order collapses.
no,
And
we
I
bet.
think the top order are, more importantly, the top order are in very good form at the moment in New Zealand conditions. So
Yeah,
I think you don't want to you don't want to anticipate failure and then make yourself fail, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yes, it does actually make sense. And yeah, I think we bet fairly far down now.
Hmm.
So it's not too
And there's
bad.
also Will Somerville as well,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
veteran.
So I mean, out of the spinning stocks, I would think Satn's obviously the easiest pick. Maybe not the
Yeah,
best pick, but the easiest pick. You say you slot him into the all rounder slot. You've got him. Um, and Jameson could almost be considered as a second all round slot where he
yeah.
is. He's actually a decent bat. Um,
Yeah,
how whether you'd fit a more specialist spinner in like Patel or Sodi, that's a different question. I think even at the Mount or at Hagley Oval, probably not. Before, I mean, if we're having more
yeah,
tests later in the summer, maybe that might be a different question. But at the same point, it seems hard to. You'd have to drop one of Jameson, Wagner, Southey, Bolt, and the four of them are pretty much demanding they get picked first. There's none of them are
yeah,
doing anything to say why. That's because you were saying, "Oh, we're going to rest one of them for some reason," and maybe one of those four wanted a rest. That might be a different story, and they did do
yeah.
that last year a bit, where they gave some of them a bit more extended breaks. And it's not like our bowling stocks aren't such that we can't do that. Hell, even our batting stocks are good enough now that we can. It's actually a little strange being a New Zealand Black Cats fan and thinking that we can actually,
Our batting stocks,
rest
I
some of our good
believe,
ones.
currently are ridiculously good. I
Yeah.
say that touch wood, because there's Devon Conway who can't get into the team, and he's absolutely gunning it
Oh,
in
he's
domestic
and he
series.
took and he took his chances in the T20 series. So just like,
He
okay, I
played
get a
very
pick.
well in the T20 series, I
Yeah,
thought. I think if he gets a
definitely.
chance to play in ODIs for the Black Caps, he's gonna do quite well as well.
I
Um, Will
I think if
Young, I
he
think, is very unlucky just from his circumstances. Um, he played well at this test and he got a decent score, showed the selectors what he can do.
yeah.
But he's in here for Williamson. We all know that's the
Well, he's been covering. He played the first test as an opener,
yeah,
and that was also a bit unfortunate because he had to open on the greenest of all pitches ever,
yeah.
and managed to get like the three actual good balls the Windies bowled in the first hour of the test,
Hmm,
you know, and managed to survive two of them, but couldn't survive the third. But really, well, those were in the first hour of the test. Those were about the only three balls that were actually good, and they're
yeah,
all to Young, and one of them got him. And and there was not a lot he could do about how he got pinged in that first test. It's like,
yeah. But I
but
think like
I thought
he
he
did.
showed.
Show, he
I
showed
thought,
a lot of his skill, like in that
yeah,
this
yeah,
test this time with the 43 off
yeah.
87 balls. Very very good showing.
I think he's done it well enough to be given another chance at some point. I
Mm.
mean, once again, it's a bit hard because say Williamson, once he gets back, he's automatic pick.
Williamson
Um,
is an automatic pick. Do you drop
and
Ross Taylor? Is it
yeah,
time for the great, the Titan? Let's look. Come on, he's been
yeah,
around for ages, and
yeah, yeah,
Craig McMillan like jokingly told him like when he interviewed him that you're the only guy left who I used to play with
yeah.
in the team. Um,
Great joke, not an actual joke, but great joke.
yeah, and because he was like, you used to be the cheeky young guy, now you're like the old veteran, which is
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
But like Ross Taylor, we know he's gonna come good.
yeah, yeah.
At some point.
So
He
he
so
has been
far the
dropped for
series
the
hasn't had to be good.
T20 series,
Yeah,
though,
which I think is
against Pakistan.
fair. I think
Yeah, yeah.
we want to extend Ross Taylor's career, and if Ross Taylor wants to focus on red ball cricket, I'm happy to give him
I
the option.
don't know if it was his choice, but
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
still. Um, but yeah, I think also there's a little bit of like Conway and Koa just saying we need to be picked, and Ross Taylor didn't look good in the T20 series against West Indies,
And
and
Seifert has been in very good form.
Seifert's, yeah. So I mean, someone had in the T20 squad, something had to give somewhere, and so
Yeah,
as they said, there's heaps more T20s to go in the
yeah.
summer. Um,
And I'll be
so
honest, even Kane Williamson's spot in the T20s are not guaranteed.
no,
Purely
no,
because Kane Williamson in IPL, all his best years have been when he was an opener. Because
yeah,
he can play a longer innings. It's not as worried about getting out, and going out quickly. But that kind of play is very risky. Um,
yeah. I think with Williamson, he's almost a specialist captain in the T20 side.
yes.
not
Uh,
that he can not that he can't play, the more bashing type innings if needed.
Yep.
Though, as you say, it is not his natural game. His
It is
natural
not.
game
And
is
if we
such.
are gonna pick somebody who can bash while also holding up an end and rotate the strike and do all that to change the tempo, I think Ross Taylor, even at his current age, is a better option. Like
Yeah,
just
I
putting it out there.
yeah I could see.
If we could only pick one of the two, Williamson or Taylor, to go into a T20 World Cup, I'm inching towards Taylor.
For the World
Not
Cup,
ironically,
yeah, I'd still go with Williamson, I think. Though it's a hard choice if
I'm
you're going
happy
one
with
of those two.
Tim Southee's
I'd
captaincy. Like I'm
yeah
thinking permanently give him the captaincy in white in T20s, and
yeah
he should keep it, and he should be leading the team into the T20
he's
World Cup.
yeah yeah.
Uh,
And I think in T20s that might be an okay thing. Southey does have a little bit. He still hasn't got rid of his tendency to just think every ball's out. So his reviewing status is never the best. His decision making around um, say around bowling choices is not. It's not that it's bad. Like I'm not saying any of this is bad. Like he's not horrendous at these things. Just when you compare him to Williamson, I think Williamson's at all formats and still at T20s just still a little bit more nuanced than Southey at it. So that's why I'm thinking if I had to choose between Taylor and Williamson, I'd still go Williamson, even though Southey's a decent enough captain. Like Williamson gives me most of what Taylor would give me, and gives me slightly more in the captaincy and the fielding than Southey.
and a bit
So
of bowling.
yeah, and more than just a bit of bowling. You've got another spinner up your sleeve if you yeah. It's actually almost an excuse to keep Williamson in the side and give the captaincy to Southey so that Williamson will bowl more. Because Southey will bowl him. Southey will be like, "You're bowling, man."
Yep.
I think that may even be. It's like gives Southey keeps the vice captain, but his one thing is he's allowed to overrule Williamson on bowling choices, but only to make Williamson bowl.
Yep.
Like, no, he's not bowling. You're bowling, man. Like, what? No, trust me on this one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'd prefer the three players in the squad or in the team. Like, I know
Yeah,
we've got really good T20. Like, I'm thinking at the T20 World Cup, just because of the added pressure that World Cups bring and knockout games bring. Having the three of them with all the knowledge they have and all the experience,
yep.
yeah, it's. I would prefer all three of them in the squad just so that if we do get to the semi-finals and or the final, I'd want all three of them out on the
It,
park.
this might be a controversial statement. T20 World Cup is going to be in India, where and previous IPLs have shown spin bowling is super effective. Is
Yeah,
Martin Guptill a liability as an opener? Because that's what I would do, and what the Windies did, which is bring on a spinner to face
yeah,
him
yeah.
beginning.
Maybe that's the bit to drop. Maybe Williamson does go back to opening, and we drop Guptill. And that's a hard pick to make. Because once again, Guptill gives you plenty at the top, and he gives you so much in the field, and it's another head in the camp. That's been there, done that for a while now.
Yeah,
So
I Martin Guptill, I'm loath to lose just for his fielding abilities alone.
yeah,
That's just how good he is on the field.
and
In a T20
and
game.
and even against spin, would think if we went to a super over, we need to win. I would still be putting him out there, like even knowing in India, so the other team's going to bowl spin at him.
Yeah, I mean he
One
hasn't
over,
been playing in the IPL for the last few years for a reason.
yeah. But
Uh,
I'd still think one over to go, one over slog. Still
yeah,
one of the guys I want out there.
I think Tim Seifert has been in very good form, and I think
Yes.
because he brings a lot of balance to the side if he in a T20 game if he's there's a wicket keeper. And this is the thing, it's not just the batting and the bowling that's deep. Our wicket keeping stocks are very deep because
Oh
BJ
yeah.
Watling is amazing still as a wicket keeper. He just slots back into this test because he's that good.
Yeah.
And he played a relatively clutch innings this game as well when he
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
in and they needed him to just stay there and stabilize things, and he did it.
Yeah.
understatedly clutch. Like you didn't realize it was clutch because he did it so easily.
Well, he just did what he normally did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is the quintessential clutch player for us. Like
And
every time
this is the
we
other
need him.
reason why I think New Zealand doesn't really need a batting all-rounder with in the mold. If we've got Jameson and Saudi in the team, because let's face it, BJ Watling is clutch and he knows how to bat with the tailenders to
Yeah,
put up
yeah.
a score and get the team through if that is needed.
Yes.
And it may not be needed because that series against Bangladesh may not go ahead, and we might just, if we win the rest of our games here against West Indies and Pakistan, that will give us a really good chance to finish at second, if not first.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, you make a good point. So maybe you can in the test side you can drop the all rounder currently filled by Daryl Mitchell and
Yeah,
put in a specialist spinner there. Um,
I feel bad to say that because I think Daryl Mitchell,
yeah.
Colin de Grandhomme, they do add something with their bowling. So
Oh no,
I'm not
definitely.
discounting what they're bringing in as a bowler. I'm just thinking a spinner brings something more. If we're gonna go
Yeah.
for the variety
Oh, yes. No, I
from a
agree.
bowling
And
perspective,
I do agree. And I think yeah, if you've got Mitchell, De Grandhomme, or Satner, and you're choosing one of those three, I think in our current squad, Satner has to be near the top of that list. I know there's lots of detractors on Satner and reckon he doesn't not that good a bowler and not that good a batter, but I think in both cases he's actually better
I
than what
think
both
as a
most people
batter,
think.
I think he's a better batter than he is a bowler, and
Yeah, yeah,
that hurts you if you're the specialist spinner in your team, just from a
yeah,
perception point of view. Um, I think yes, as a test bowler, he doesn't get the wickets as much, and that's probably because we have a bowling lineup that are very good at bowling late in the innings as well. When the ball isn't
yeah,
swinging, when with Neil Wagner, you can pretty much say he's one of the reasons why Mitchell Santner. He just needs to keep the balls dot and keep a steady line and length, and he basically Neil Wagner will get the will help the team get wickets late on when if they haven't managed to get people out,
yeah, exactly.
especially
And
in New Zealand conditions.
yeah, and then you've got
Whether
the masters of late swing as well with Southey and Bolt will come in and
Yep.
change up as well. So yeah,
And
but
you've
I
got
suppose
Harmison who just uses pace, and awkward bounce and things like that for his
yeah, yeah,
wickets.
yeah, exactly. And I suppose yeah, if you wanted a bowler, a spin bowler who's going to take wickets on the last session of the last day, maybe that's when you're looking at a Patel or Sodhi. Though Sodhi
Or even
hasn't,
a Somerville.
or even a Somerville. Though I feel like if I'm going there, like Somerville, I feel is below both Sodhi and Patel.
Tell.
Yeah, I think AJ Patel is probably the top of that pile of those three.
Hmm.
Like Satnam brings a little bit different, and to be fair, Somerville does as well. Like Somerville's batting's almost good enough
Yep.
to put him in contention for the all round as an all rounder as opposed to a bowler. Whilst with AJ and Ish, neither of them there's batting's good enough
Ish is
for that.
better than he used to be.
Yeah, yeah,
That.
but
Uh,
it's but I mean, I think whilst that might put him above Bolt, I don't know if his batting's good enough to even put him above Wagner. And Wagner's a good batter. I'm not trying to diss Wagner's batting. Like
because
Wagner's a
Ish
proper
said
batter
he
as
has
well.
350s in tests.
I suppose, yeah.
Just
Maybe. Yeah, I'll
average
take
is
you there.
21, which means he can hold up a bat and
Yeah,
stay in if he needs to. And 350s means, yeah, if he takes his time and he can definitely stay in. Sure, this is the bad side of it because his bowling average in tests is 48.5.
yeah,
Mind you, this is after 17 tests and only 41 wickets. So he's roughly getting about 2 wickets a game, and he's
yeah,
only got
which,
the two 4 wicket hauls. So his best is 4 wickets.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Ajaz Patel and Will Young are also their highest wickets at 3, but I feel like any spin bowler in a New Zealand team is very rarely going to get a fifer.
Hmm.
Just because our New Zealand already hunt in packs as a bowling unit, and
Yeah.
our pace bowlers know how to bowl at the end of the innings. So, and I think this is where I think maybe Ish Sodhi is slightly better. Is comparatively strike rate of 77 is where I think he could be seen to be useful.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's not a bad strike rate. So yeah. So
Like,
maybe that's a point that Ish climbs the top of that pile. I would have thought Patel, but you do make good argument for Ish being the top of that pile.
yeah.
um
Also, like
so
Ish's first class strike rate. I'm just gonna quickly look that up. In the bowler, if they have that stat, because they don't often. Sometimes they don't have it.
yeah,
It's
sometimes.
57, so he gets up to wicket every 60 balls, every 10 overs. Like I think
Yes.
if they can get his and he averages about in first class about 34. Like that's kind of what we want from him, right? In
I
uh,
wouldn't mind it being a bit better. Like I still feel like Ish I mean it's hard because it's bowling in New Zealand conditions as a leg spinner. So
yeah.
but you
Whereas
sort of
in
feel like
Bangladesh, a wrist spinner who in those wickets is going to be mighty useful, just like
oh
Daniel
yeah,
Vettori was as well, like as a left arm spinner. But so will a left arm spinner.
yeah,
That being said, over 8 matches, Ajaz Patel has about 22 wickets, so he averages about three-ish, you would say,
yeah, yeah,
2.5 wickets a game. Strike rate of 73, averages about 33 and a point 0.3. So he is overall tighter and maybe better. So yeah, Ajaz
yeah,
Patel doing the straight comparison might be the go.
yeah, yeah. That's what I thought
Only
with
thing Ish has going for him is he is 4 years younger.
yeah, there is that. Um and I like Ish. I think Ish is a good bowler.
Yeah,
And I wouldn't mind perhaps him getting more chances, but as I say, the problem is that AJ seems to have taken when he's been given the chance, he's made it look better and look
yeah.
like he's taking he's that he should get it. Well, Ish has always seemed to not quite get there and sort of just
I think the thing is
missed
like
his opportunities.
in in high class IPL and in the Windies and the CPL, he's he's sometimes borderline unplayable.
Yeah.
Ish Sodhi, like he's
Oh
got a
no.
strike rate of 18 in T20
Oh,
eyes, and
T20 is a different in T20.
he's got a strike rate of 19 in like normal T20s. So
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
his
no
strike rate in
T20s.
ODIs are not terrible either.
No.
37 and 36 are
I think white ball
uh,
cricket.
white
I'd be
ball.
picking Ish over
And this is
most of the
where
other spickers.
like that is where we like him because he doesn't just get wickets by being economical and like being miserly and like being effective. That's not how he's the strike rate is where it shows he's also effective.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so and like that's what clouds our judgment on Ish, right? Like you and I see that and go, what we just need to figure out a way to redo that.
Yeah, do that in red ball.
Yeah,
Like, how do we get that in red ball? Because you're right. Like in white ball cricket, his effectiveness is the fact that he's taking wickets, um, and
now
always looks like he's taking wickets as well. Always looks like it's even if someone slogs him out of the park, you always feel like, well, you got lucky there, better. And the next ball, like, yeah, there you go, you've been done.
yeah,
But it doesn't seem to work that way in Test cricket for him the same, which
absolutely.
is yeah,
Mind you, I think that's a good reason for New Zealand to never not have a wrist spinner in their white ball squad, even in
yeah,
New
yeah,
Zealand conditions, just because
yeah.
of how effective Ish is. And I think wrist spin in general is in white ball cricket.
Yeah, it does
Um,
seem to be give that different edge,
yeah,
even over left arm orthodox. Like it's just its own
but
little thing.
we've only been really talking about spin and batting in the T20 side of things. and potentially in spin in the test. But even if in our T20, like what is our final bowling lineup? It's going to be played in India. So while Trent Bolt has a great record, so in India as well, so and in areas where it doesn't swing, and in India will swing a little bit in those day night day night T20s potentially.
Yeah,
So I would always take Trent, and I think we have to take Saudi.
yeah.
Um,
And you got to take Ferguson.
you got to take Ferguson. Ferguson is our
Yeah,
match winner with the ball, right?
yeah, yeah. You can't beat
But
150
there,
Ks.
you have, I think you have to take Ish Sodi.
Yeah.
Do you take Satner or do you take Jameson? It's a flip, right? Depending on the wicket. In India, surely you'd want to take Satner as like you'd take
What?
both of them, but you'd usually start
Yeah.
Satner. I'm thinking
I was thinking that too. Yeah. I think.
they're both good with the bat, so you're not
Yeah.
losing anything. And heck, maybe all five bowlers in Indian conditions in T20s is not, especially when two of your bowlers are Mitchell Santner and um, Jameson, who are
Yeah.
very good
Yeah.
with the bat,
Yeah. Oh no. You'd have. I think you could have all five of those,
and
and
also Tim
therefore,
Southee
yeah,
in a T20.
in a
Uh,
T20, especially chasing as you normally want to be.
yeah, and he the and he what's his name? Mitchell Santner has been quite effective reasonably effective in IPL for the Chennai Super Kings, and he's also played a lot for the Barbados Tridents
Yeah.
in the West Indies. So he's got decent T20 experience in the circuit.
Yeah.
Um, but there's all these good players. There's players like Matt Henry. There's players like Colin de
Yeah.
Grandhomme. Do you even need him as an all rounder? But would you not pick? Can you not pick Colin de Grandhomme? It's not Jimmy Neesham's. Who do you pick between the two of them
Yeah. I know. Normally I would go De
for
Grandhomme.
your
Like
because they're the lower order. Hmm?
normally I'd go De Grandhomme out of those two, but that said, Nishan's been playing really well with De Grandhomme out. So
And
like
we've
you,
got Glenn Phillips, who's shown like he can just hit sixes.
yeah,
Some of those Indian grounds are small, where the thus hitting power. Because I think Devon Conway has played himself into the squad, if not the
yes.
starting
Def-
11.
oh no, I think
Um, I
that's
think
why Taylor's
Seifert has
dropped.
played himself into the top. Hmm?
So that's why Taylor's been dropped is because Phillips and Conway have
Yeah.
just basically said we have to play, and so something had to give if both of them are playing, and
So
that was Taylor. So
Seifert, do you go with Seifert and Williamson and Conway at number 3? Like, this is where your matches are won and lost in T20, especially if you end up having to bat first.
yeah, um,
Can we not? Can you afford to not have Colin Monroe?
gotta have him as well. Yeah, this is why I don't want to be a selector. Get too crazy. We
I
forget
would
about
not
Colin
leave Colin
Monroe.
Monroe out because I think he's still
No,
good.
yes. So yeah, so I guess you
Like,
have
just my feeling
Seifert.
is he's still.
Yeah, so I guess you have Seifert and Monroe first. Then you have Williamson at three, but maybe you drop him down the order if need be. Like you make that choice, though it's Williamson, so how can you not send him out? Then you have Conway and Phillips, which means Taylor's let go of. So what are we up to? That's one, two, three. That's five. So then you got the Nisham de Grandhomme question slash Satner. Well, I suppose Satner plays no matter what. So yeah,
Is
what?
maybe controversial statement. If you have Colin Monroe and you have Seifert opening, just putting it out there, and you're not taking
Yeah,
Williamson in your team, and you've got Devon Conway as your number 3 who can smack the ball around if they've been, if the openers have been getting high strike rate or, stabilize things if needed
yeah.
coming in. Um, do you just bat Jimmy Neesham number 4 and Colin de Grandhomme number 5 in a T20?
I feel that's
Why
too.
not?
There's a little bit of a why not there, but I think that's the sort of thing you do not in a T20 World Cup.
In
Like,
India,
or
where those
less.
pitches are good to bat on, and both those
Um,
guys have shown they're very good against middle order bowling and spin against spin.
yeah, yeah,
Or
you
do you
make good
put Glenn
points.
Phillips at number 4, and you have
I think I think I'd still prefer Williamson at 3, and then Phillips and Conway at 4/5, depending on the which way around you want to do it, and
because
then have
Phillips is a very good at hitting sixes
yes,
and finding the boundary. We'll have to. He's only played the one, or at least I've only seen him play in the one game. But he will obviously need to replicate that against like the best players in the world in the World Cup if he's gonna play there.
yeah, yeah,
But I think the other reason why I like Phillips is if Colin Munro's not in good form, he can open, I think,
yeah,
with
yeah.
Seifert. So you want to pick him in the squad at least.
Oh no, I think they're definitely in the squad, and that may be I don't know how big the squad needs to be, so that may be a more interesting conversation about who gets left behind out of that. But I think yeah, I think Conway and Phillips have to be in the side, but I'm thinking 4 and 5 for them. Slash,
Is it a waste to have Conway come in at 4 and 5 if Kane Williamson at number 3?
I don't think it's a waste as
Or
such.
do you just keep Kane as a float? Like
Well, I think
the if
I
we
almost
lose
feel
an early wicket, he comes in. If we don't lose an early wicket, he just never comes out to bat.
yeah, yeah, but then it's Kane Williamson, you know, like it's hard to say that for the best
Or do you
batsman
just
New Zealand
bite the
has.
bullet, open the innings with Kane and Seifert, and
Maybe
not
that's
pick
it,
Colin Munro
and no, I think you have Colin Munro and
and
Seifert,
Seifert?
and they're gonna go boom boom. But
You
the thing
gotta
is
have
that
two boomers, I think. It's too
yeah,
risky to play a non-boomer in one of your opening
but
slots.
at the same point, you know that statistically speaking, one of them's gonna hold
Yeah,
out.
that's why you need two of them.
That's why you have two of them. I know, but that's where the Williamson at 3 works because
Hmm.
whatever is
But is
whichever one.
Williamson at 3 make Devon Conway irrelevant? Like
No,
so close to requirement.
I think that makes Conway 5. Because Conway showed in the T20s like he can do both. The T20s against the West Indies, he can do both.
Yeah.
He can craft the innings from near the beginning, but he can also let loose on demand. So I think that's almost a good 5 option as well. Like if things have gone so bad that he's coming in early at 5, like he can that's where it stops. He's basically the Ross Taylor role. Like that's what Ross Taylor's been doing. Like if it gets to him and it's early in the overs, things have gone badly. Okay, this is where it stops. It stops here,
Yeah.
And but if it's late in the innings, like well, I do the other thing I'm good at, which is just throw the bat at the ball, and if it doesn't work, oh well, we've got Nisham or de Grandhomme and all the rest to come out here and just do it as well. So Jameson
Uh,
and such like.
so
So
for you, you'd go Seifert, Munro, Williamson at 3, Conway at 4, uh,
no, Phillips at 4, and then
Phillips
Conway
at
at 5.
4, Conway at 5.
Yeah,
No CDG or Nisham in this lineup because I think we decided on 5 bowlers. Oh, sorry, we can have CDG in
yeah,
lineup.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one of CDG or Nisham,
CDG or
or
Nisham at number 6.
then
Uh,
Satner,
Satner, Saudi, Jameson,
Ish,
Ish,
Jameson,
and
Bolt. Have we got
Lucky.
enough?
Oh, Lucky
Lucky,
or Bolt. Or Jameson or Bolt, and Lucky
Jameson, a
or
Bolt,
and
and yeah,
Ish.
yeah,
And we can obviously Satner or Jameson as well. So Jameson, I think you gotta
yeah,
have Bolt because he's just too good at his roles. Like he's good at the
yeah,
death
yeah,
and he's good at the opening. And Saudi's good at the death and good at the opening. So you need those two, and you need Lockie Ferguson in the middle.
yeah. So that's
Uh,
3.
or and
So
at the
that
death if they're gonna use him at the death sort of thing.
so I've got the 6. So that was 3. So it's 9. So yeah, it's 2, and then you've got Satner, Jameson, whoever we haven't added into there as the other 2. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
I think I think
uh,
out of the Sorry, yeah, I think out of the people that were playing the West Indies one, I think Bennett's pretty much out now. Like he was looking good last at the beginning of the year slash last year in the T20s, but
Yeah, I mean, but there's lots of time for Bennett to get better, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, Ish didn't get a chance to bowl in that third T20 and
He
the
did bowl on
Mounts.
the second one though,
Yeah,
1 for 26 off 4, which is not too bad for T20. It's pretty
yeah,
good actually.
yeah. That's a very decent return. Um, and he shouldn't need to bat. He's going to be number 11 or number 10 with Bolt.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
both him and Trent Bolt can hold up an end and get you some
yeah,
quick runs if needed.
yeah.
And
Well, they
I
can.
think both of them are capable of coming in if they need to get two or three boundaries in the last over of the game. Much like Daniel Vittori did in that semi-final and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that you and I watched. They're capable.
They're capable. But the thing is, yeah, they're both capable of. That's only if there's a few balls left. They're both also capable of getting something on the bat, getting it out, and scampering down the other end, and whoever
Yep,
else is in to be like, cool, this
yep,
is your
yep.
show. We're just here to run if we need to. And they both know how to do that. Like to be able to get out there with at the beginning of the last over and be like, we just need to get off strike. Where's the gap there? Okay, just however we can, the ball goes there. We go running down the other end.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting choices for the selectors for the T20 World Cup. Um,
yeah. I
with
mean, they're
plenty of
already
people
having
saying
a rough
things.
time with the test matches, and they're just lucky there isn't an ODI World Cup to play. But that's just
Yeah,
basically a spot to test out all the players who are not playing who can play in both the tests and the T20s to see how they get along.
yeah, yeah. Well, we say it's only the 3 ODIs anyway against Bangladesh. So.
Yeah,
Oh, and sorry, and the Australian series, which is, I think, is the Australian series is actually this year's earlier series they got. Yeah, it's the Hadley Chapel series because we got it cancelled this year, and then
yeah, I
they
think you're right.
rescheduled for the end of January, beginning of February in Australia this year or next year, 2021, this season. Because they still sort of showed as postponed, but they got a date. So I think it's still a little bit up in the air. It'll still depend a little bit on travel bubbles and stuff. Yeah, they're scheduled for the end of January. So we'll be okay going over there, but what's coming back?
Yeah,
Oh, they come back here for a T20 series mid-February. So I think there may be the ODIs will depend on whether they can come back without too much of a managed isolation
yeah,
required or not. I think there's enough time in there because that's the second. Oh, the T20 in Australia is the 2nd of February, and then the first T20 in New Zealand is the 22nd. So that's 20 days. So that's given them enough time. And the first ODI is the 26th of Jan. Whilst the second test against Pakistan finished on the 7th of Jan. So yes, another 20 days there as well. So giving themselves enough space around it, so it should be okay,
yeah.
regardless of whatever
Uh,
arrangements have been made.
Hopefully the tournament will go ahead because I think we really want there
Yeah,
to be at ICC, another ICC tournament. Obviously, if it does go ahead, we hope it goes ahead safely because that's
of
A,
course.
good for the players, and B, that means things have turned around good in India. So good for 1.2 billion people. So yeah, the it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. I still think New Zealand should offer to host that T20 World Cup. Get everyone in here and play it.
Yeah, yeah.
Get it done out of the
I
way.
do like I do like that idea. I feel that the real thing that's stopping that is the New Zealand government. Not that it's a bad thing as such, but
No.
um,
Eh,
Just that they've got it. Yeah,
in Cypher we trust, right?
yeah, yes, yes, exactly. So, but it would be really awesome. And you say it could go ahead here fairly easily once you get everybody in, get them
Yeah.
through quarantine, um, get them tested, everything would be fine.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Actually, the other thing
And
I
the
hadn't looked up was the women's ODI World Cup was meant to be this summer
yep,
here in New Zealand. Yeah, did that get fully cancelled or has that been postponed to later?
I
I
believe
think
it's
that's
been postponed. I think
yeah,
ICC have basically gone, we postpone until we can't postpone anymore. We're not going to cancel anything out of the.
yeah, yeah. That's what I thought. I just couldn't remember fully.
So it's interesting to see because in the so along with the nine India and the nine top test teams, full member nations for the next year's World Cup, and um, we've also got the Netherlands, Papua New Guinea, Ireland, Namibia, Scotland, and Oman. So
Ooh,
Afghanistan are there because they're in the top nine.
yeah,
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting. Is Zimbabwe not qualified for this World Cup? It looks like that's a big blow for Zimbabwean cricket.
definitely.
Yeah, Zimbabwe didn't qualify.
That is a big blow. It'd be the first time they haven't qualified for something for a while.
I feel like it's not. They've been suspended. Right.
Ah, all right. That's a different
That
thing then.
makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And their spot in the tournament was given to Nigeria.
Oh, I see. Cool.
And that's basically from because basically the Scotland, Zimbabwe, Netherlands, Hong Kong, Oman, Ireland, and the UAE, I believe, are basically just obviously Ireland is a host nation, but they're outside that, just under that top 10, the top 16. They kind of almost always automatically qualify for the T20
All right. Yes, yes.
championships, sort of, and then you have because they were going to have six people come in from this championships. The UAE didn't qualify, but Papua New Guinea made it through instead of the UAE because Papua New Guinea came in from the Asia Pacific group, and
All
Africa
right.
had
Yeah.
Namibia, Kenya. It's good to see them back in the fold,
Yeah. Yeah.
co- coming in these qualifying tournaments, and Nigeria. Europe had Jersey, and they played their eternal rivals, Guernsey, which I think is funny.
That is funny.
Singapore representing Asia, and Canada and Bermuda representing the Americas.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that they have two teams coming from the Americas because that means potentially a South American team can one day get through, maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, T20 rankings, Ireland is 17th. That's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. I would have thought they would have been a bit better than that.
Yeah,
But yeah. See how it
and
goes sometimes.
yeah, I guess swings and roundabouts, all that jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
A
good
bit
to
of
see
that.
so many countries are playing cricket now, just looking at the T20. Like all these people who've played in the qualifiers. Like obviously I know Nepal play. They've got a few player. I think one player whose name escapes me now who plays in the IPL
All
as a
right.
leg
Yeah.
spinner. Singapore who were the ones who won the Asian qualifying tournament to get through.
Yeah. Yeah.
UAE being automatic qualifiers, but they're not just the Gulf teams. Like Singapore and Malaysia have been playing cricket for a
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
time. But yeah, Qatar, Kuwait. These I would not be surprised if Qatar and Kuwait are full of like Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Sri Lankan players. But like the likes of Denmark, Germany, Italy, Guernsey. It's Guernsey and Jersey. I'm pretty sure is like people from the Channel Islands. Just find it. This is why I find it amusing that
Yeah.
they got there.
I like how they get their own ones. That's yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they do because
Nice.
they're technically not part of the United Kingdom.
England. Well, not yeah, not part of England.
Well, they're not part of England, but they're not part of the United Kingdom either. They're
Oh no,
still a
really?
remnant of the Duchy of Normandy. And the Duchy of
All right.
Normandy didn't unite with England and Scotland to form the United Kingdom.
All right.
So that's why in the
Yeah.
Channel
Ah,
Islands they're
then.
like, "Hail to the Queen, who's our Duke," because
All
she's
right.
the Duke of the Channel Islands. And they
Yeah, yeah.
technically didn't want to, I think they've had they only abolished feudalism in one of the bailiwicks of the Channel Islands in 2009 or something like that.
All right.
To be fair, this is like an island I think that had like 20 people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
still.
Still,
Uh,
still a bit funny.
and it's the same with the Isle of Manx.
Yeah.
Isle of Man. People
Oh
there are
man,
called
yes.
Manx. Yeah, so they're it's technically it's a crown possession, and
Crown
they're
dependency. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it belongs to the Queen. Like
Yeah,
she's, I
yeah.
believe, the might be the Earl. I'm not sure if she's the Earl or the Duke of the Isle of Man. My CK2 knowledge tells me it should be Earl and Earldom,
Who knows?
but yeah, the Isle of Man also has its own cricket team.
Yes. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, we just little segue there into the UK history and stuff. But yeah, either way, this is a great summer. Like I gotta say, cricket has been a shot in the arm for me. I'm looking forward to this test, which unfortunately for the Windies looks like they're gonna lose tomorrow at some
Yeah.
point. But hey, maybe
Possibly in
they
the
can
morning.
bet it out. Maybe they can get a decentish score. Maybe even 200 runs could be difficult to chase on the fourth, fifth day.
Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, if they can bat most of tomorrow, I think it will become an interesting fifth day. If they can, if they the Windies can bat long enough through tomorrow to make
Yeah.
New Zealand bat and have to bat into the fifth day, things become a little bit more interesting because that'll be you say it's going to be 200, 250 runs to get at that
Yeah.
point just by virtue of having batted all day. Um, as you say, that's going to become increasingly more difficult. Not impossible, but difficult.
Hmm.
Um, but that said, I think yes, early tomorrow morning is going to be
The
the
key.
interesting bits. That's the the key bits where the New Zealand bowlers can get say Jason Holder out or making start getting a few more of these wickets, then it may not even be a bat again situation, or if it's batting again, it's to get 10, 20 runs or whatever it is. So even 50 runs, I think, will be relatively smooth over the course of a day and a half. Like they don't have to do anything too crazy. But as you say, the bowling conditions are not getting easier to bat at the basin as the test
Yeah.
is going on. So who knows? Anything can happen.
Absolutely.
I think
And
the most likely thing to happen is New Zealand winning, but anything can happen.
yep. Well, we'll look forward to it. And in a few days, hopefully, we'll also get to talk to you guys about the football. But
Yeah, yeah.
for now, that's all for us today. See you next time.
See you next time.